Now these are live pictures we can see coming in here. There's Her Majesty walking with the Premier of WA, Colin Barnett, and this is the state reception at Government House, and it will be held in the gardens of Government House, about 3.2 hectares. And you can see there Her Majesty along with the Premier walking past a welcoming guard there of school children. And joining me here in the studio to talk about the state reception and indeed more broadly about the 16th Royal Tour by Her Majesty is Professor David Flint, a well-known monarchist, renowned law lecturer and author. Professor Flint, thank you very much for joining us here at ABC News 24.
Thank you for having me.
As we look at this vision coming in from Perth, we are but a couple of days away from the end of this royal tour. How would you assess its success?
I think it's been a very successful royal tour. I think people have in the fear perhaps that this may be the last time. I don't think it's going to be the last time necessarily, but I think people have shown their affection for the Queen, and I think there's been a wonderful feeling, an emphasis that the Queen is beyond politics, and we saw that in Parliament House, for example, where both the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition gave splendid speeches, but they showed that everybody was united in the presence of the Queen.
Well, as we watch Her Majesty walk along here with Colin Barnett, I pick up on what you say there, that you don't think it's necessarily Her Majesty's last tour of Australia. What prompts you to say that?
Well, certainly no message has come to that effect. They both seem extraordinarily healthy, considering their age. 85 and 90 is not young, but they seem to be certainly able to put up with the long travel, and it is New Zealand is the next one, of course, and I suspect that there will be a trip to New Zealand. Not next year, because that's the Diamond Jubilee. I have no doubt that she'll be going to Canada again, because she goes there regularly. She's invited there more often than she is to Australia, so I don't think this is necessarily the last visit to Australia. I remember when she came after the referendum, where she behaved so well, saying that this was a matter for the Australian people to decide. It was rumoured each time that she came after that it would be the last time.
And that was, as you point out, 11 years ago.
Yes.
So there's been a couple more at least, last times or mooted last times since.
Yes.
Well, we can see Her Majesty taking to the stage here with Premier Barnett at Government House in Perth, and most of the proceedings will be taking place in the gardens, the extensive gardens there, not far from the Swan River, about 3 hectares of gardens, at this historic building, a beautiful building. Now, you know quite a bit about Perth, don't you? And I presume you've been to Government House?
Yes, it's in a lovely position. It's right in the centre of the city, and it is a very beautiful structure.
We might just pause for the national anthem here.
Long live our noble Queen, God save the Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us, God save the Queen.
The royal anthem sung there by Lucy Durack, and a welcome to country will now be given.
Honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this state reception in honour of the visit to Western Australia by Her Majesty the Queen and His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. I'd like to invite to the stage Professor Colleen Hayward, representing the Noongar community, to deliver an acknowledgement of country.
Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, Premier, Mrs. Barnett, distinguished guests all. This event is special in so many regards, not the least of which being that for most of us it signifies a unique experience, definitely one to be remembered for many years to come. As we welcome Her Majesty the Queen to Western Australia, it is my task and my pleasure to help us also recognise and celebrate the place of Indigenous Western Australians. In doing so, I acknowledge that we are meeting on land that is part of the traditional country of the people of the Noongar Nation, and I pay my respects to my forebears, the Noongar elders, past and present, who have done so much over so long and who have allowed me to model their strength and their integrity. Acknowledging country is a way of paying respect to people and to place, as well as to our collective past. It enables Aboriginal people from this country area to recognise other Indigenous peoples, and for Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples to recognise each other. It joins us in common purpose and sets the context of us being here together. Noongar country is a vast expanse covering the southwest corner of this state, including the metropolitan area of Perth. Its land area is a biodiversity hotspot with more than 8,000 life forms that are rare, of which over 6,000 are unique to Noongar country. We have 6 seasons rather than 4, each changing when the plants themselves indicate it is time, rather than on the turning of the calendar. Right now, we are in the season called Camberang. We are freshwater people, and most of us have birds as our totems. Mine is the white cockatoo. The Noongar Nation comprises 14 clans, of which mine is called Gorring. Its place centres around the Katanning-Nowangarup Broom Hill area, in the heart of the southwest. The clan for this area is called Whadjuk, and I give the Whadjuk people special notice and acknowledgement. Your Majesty and other dignitaries, on this occasion I want to share something about this place specifically, as well as some of the places close by. At the time of British settlement here in the then Swan River colony, settlers first camped at the foot of Mount Eliza, just out of sight of here, in a place we called Gunaninup. This place was an initiation area that features in our dreaming stories of the Bible. Created the landforms and waterways, including the Swan River that we call the Derbil Yerigan. Gunaninup also contained a high-grade ochre mine, with that ochre being used for ceremonial uses as well as trade. Across the river, on the South Perth foreshore where the old mill now stands, there was a birthing area. As well as being effective hunters, our men were also fishermen who were adept with fish traps and spears. With so much of the foreshore between here and the river being reclaimed land, they would have fished the waters that at that time would now be part of these gardens. These grounds and more, known to us as Kururi, being so close to these sites, was important to our men and our women. Fittingly, this place right here was a gathering place, not only for other Noongar people coming into this area, but also other people from many places, including those far away. There are even some biographies telling the stories of British settlers who were somewhat taken aback at the corroborees and other ceremonies held here. So this was a place for people to gather and to celebrate in that coming together. I love that it still serves that purpose today. The spirits of our forebears watch over this place. In acknowledging country and in paying my respects to you and to the spirits, I invite them to also watch over you. Thank you.